Welcome to Knattering with the Knights, North Anglia International School Hong Kong's PE department, talking about sport, physical activity, health and a host of other topics.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Knattering with the Knights with me, Miss Jones. In this episode we are talking about being a young carer. A young carer, as described by Signpost Stockport for Carers website, is a child or young adult who spends time looking after or helping a member of their family who, because of an illness or disability, mental health problem or drug and alcohol issue, is unable to take care of everyday tasks themselves without some help. The help you may give could be shopping, making meals, doing the laundry, or perhaps you help out with nursing, giving medication or lifting someone up and down the stairs or in and out of bed. Maybe you just give your time just to be with someone when they need company. I had the pleasure of doing some work with Signpost Stockport for Carers back in, I think it was 2008, 2009, can't really remember, memory's not so good anymore. My auntie actually works for the organisation as a family worker. She completes the young carer assessment, she's a family caseworker and she mentors the social work students on their placements. My sister also worked for the organisation and we were employed as group workers. We would take groups of young carers to organised events such as bowling, the cinema, team building activities, mini golf and residential trips around the UK, with the summer residential to Hebden Bridge in West Yorkshire. During my time there, I had the pleasure of meeting and supporting today's guest, Becky Cheetham. One of our most favourite moments is being with Becky when she received her university offers. We were on the train back from Hebden Bridge with some of our older young carers and we screamed so loudly that the people were worried and turning around to stare at us. I very calmly explained that she'd just received the university offers that she wanted. Everything was okay, don't panic. Becky was already an inspirational young woman then, caring for her sister Hannah, who has cerebral palsy, which has resulted in her living in a wheelchair. That, however, has not stopped Hannah achieving everything she dreams of. Together, they have launched their own Instagram page called Cheethams With Dreams, and the aim is to bring more positivity into our everyday lives, and that is something it certainly does. Becky is working as a nurse and using the skills she gained as a young carer to support many more people as they face their own battles with different illnesses. This episode focuses on what being a young carer looks like when balancing school, friends, and life, where being a young carer can take you and how it can inspire and motivate you to achieve absolutely anything you set your mind to. Welcome to this week's episode of Knattering with the Knights, Becky. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's actually a really nice opportunity for us to catch up because, like we were just saying before I press record, social media allows us to pretty much see into everyday lives, and you almost feel like when you actually do connect with someone, it's like, well, I know everything about you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've seen everything that you're doing on, your social media and Instagram, but actually to sit down and have this conversation is really nice, and I think long overdue.
Yes, definitely long overdue. It's really nice to catch up with you.
Well, we've obviously, been talking about doing this for quite some time. And now I am currently on my summer holidays in Hong Kong and you are back in, I'm going to say, the sunny UK. I feel like the weather's been really good.
It's actually heat wave weather. Yes, I've got shorts and a t-shirt on and I think it's going to last for the next few days. So yes, sunny Manchester.
I love Manchester when the sun is shining. I mean, I love Manchester full stop, but when the sun is out, yeah, the one day a year that we get sun, yeah. But it definitely makes home more special when the weather's nice. Right, let's kind of jump into this. I obviously gave a kind of a brief explanation from the website at Signpost Stockport for Carers, which has the Young Carers organisation that I met you through. I thought this would be a really valuable opportunity for some of our students to understand your experiences as a teenager growing up being a young carer, because I'm not actually entirely sure of the young carer situation in Hong Kong. So hopefully this will educate them and give them an insight into other people's lives and how they cope with everything. So if you don't mind, would you kind of starting at the beginning, when did you know, when did you realize, when were you told, when were you aware that you were a young carer?
So I joined Signpost Young Carers when I was 8. And that was through, I think, my sister's social worker came out and said, do you know that there's this charity that helps young carers. And I never really saw myself as a young carer. And I don't think many people do. Like, I don't think, it's just something that you grow up with and something that you are.
Yeah.
And then a social worker said, because you care for Hannah, this is charity, and you can go. And then that was it. When I was 8, I went to my first group and stayed there for a very long time.
And what was it kind of like going? Do you remember that first group? Do you have any memories of what it was like?
Yeah, I do. I went to archery, I think it was, and I was in my football kit, head to toe football kit, and I remember meeting your sister Becky, and I was very quiet, very shy, which I'm not now. But and I remember just being like really awkward and what for done, why am I here? And then I kind of got very quick to realise actually it was my time to be a kid. And archery is something that we've never done as a family because Hannah can't do it. So it was kind of like, well, what Hannah can't do, you can't do. And I think that was the great escape for me to start learning and being a kid. And
So if I remember rightly, I'm probably going to get the days wrong. I think I remember, well, when I used to do it, I used to go to the groups on a Thursday night. Was it just the once a week you went to group?
Once a month it was actually, right. Because there were so many kids. They had Thursday, I think Tuesday and Thursday groups. Tuesday was kind of like sit around, talk about your feelings, not really me. And then Thursday was be a kid, go and have fun. But it was once a month because it kind of went up in age groups.
Yes, I remember, because everyone was kind of put into specific age groups and you could mix with your friends and that way. So you mentioned that it was your time to be a kid. That's something that I kind of want to touch on here now. Like what kind of did every day look like for you now? And obviously there would be balance in school, but then like, is it before school? Is it after school? Like how does being a young carer fit in with everyday life?
So I always say that being a sibling carer is very different to being a carer of a parent or a grandparent or someone like that, because my experience didn't look so much like chores, as not many more chores, probably just helping out around the house, getting Hannah dressed, which to me it is more than everyone else does, but it's not, because it's not a lot to do really. So like getting Hannah ready when my mum was busy, feeding Hannah, whatever. But I always say that a sibling carer is more the emotional side that is potentially damaging to you really. That's the chores kind of comes and goes, because every kid should have chores and it'd just be extra washing up or I don't know, just extra chores around the house. But a day-to-day would probably look like we'd all get up in the morning. I, from a young age, would have to get myself ready because my mum would be busy getting Hannah ready. My dad was at work and just kind of rushing out the house together. I just remember like coming home and being like, I need help with my homework, and my mum being like, not now, like I haven't got time now. And that was all I kind of remember as a kid, is having to wait quite a lot really, having to like occupy yourself and do stuff on your own really. But probably a few extra chores and a lot of waiting around.
So then throwing that kind of, did that have, waiting around a bit more, probably, having to, like you said, occupy yourself a little bit more. Did that have any kind of impact at all being at school, like with making friends or keeping friendship groups? Were you in any?
I think making friends, I found it hard to trust people, as in like, how do I know these people aren't going to take the mick out of my family? How do I know these aren't going to laugh at me? If I can't go somewhere, is that going to lose me friends? I can't go because I haven't got a lift, or I can't go because whatever. I became quite an outgoing person thanks to Signpost, but I also recognised that I was quite an attention-seeking person, but not in a horrible way. Like I feel like because I didn't have the attention of my family, I would go anywhere for attention, like I would go anywhere to get love and be wanted by anyone. So I would really, try and get on with my workers, try and get on with teachers, try and get on with someone that would be proud of me, because I wouldn't hear it as much at home. which is, quite, I'm glad I recognize that now. Like, I don't regret being like that because it's what made me be who I am. But I think it is quite hard to slot yourself into life, with friends and things like that. I always got on with older people, probably because that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a conversation about this a couple of months ago, and when you use the word attention seeking to describe yourself, I was instantly like, no, like you never struck me as that. You were just so happy to be in the groups and happy to do the activities, and you were just so willing and ready to talk to anyone and get on with anyone. And I don't
mean like attention seeking drama. Like, I would never be a drama queen or make things up or whatever. I was just always seeking that love and proudness from people. Like, it was always, like I said, it wouldn't be give me attention, give me whatever. It would just always be like, please love me, please like me, please be proud of me wherever you go. And I think that's where it comes from, because you didn't have as much of it at home.
Right. And have you, now that you like you said, you've kind of understood that, you kind of have accepted that, has there anything changed as you've moved into like your adult life with that?
As I've grown older, I've learned to care less about what people think.
That's nice.
But I think you do anyway. Yeah, I think you do anyway. You get to a point. I used to have loads of friends, and I've never really stuck with a best friend. Like, with me, I kind of moved through the time. So I had really good friends at uni, really good friends at college, really good friends at Signpost. But whenever I moved on, my friends moved on.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether some people are like that in life. I don't know whether that's to do with the young carers or not. But I have learned to care less about what people think. And I think with social media, you have to, because you're being scrutinised left, right and centre. And I think you've just got to think it's more about the person saying it than you. But yeah, I still like to be liked, and I think that will always be me. But I don't know. I think it's just about making people proud.
I think, like you said, that I think everybody wants to be liked, don't they? Like, that's kind of what everybody no one sets out to be hated or be horrible. So I think everyone's going to always be battling that. Kind of going, being a teenager. I mean, I'm a teacher of teenagers. I was a teenager once. It's
a long time ago.
Yeah, it does feel like a long time ago. It's difficult. Like, you're going through changes. You've got the hormonal changes. You're trying to figure out who you are as a person. Like you've just said, you're navigating friendships. You're navigating, being a young carer. And I mean, like when you described it before, it kind of sounded like, I don't know. I don't want to say normal, but I felt like, when you were saying things about you've got a few extra jobs around the house. Yeah, I had those jobs around the house. If my mum was doing something with my sister, I'd wait for that time to finish. But your situation is very different to how I grew up. Did anything whilst you were like a teenager, dealing with school, GCSEs, was being a young carer at the same time? What were the positives? Were the negatives? Like, how has that impacted you?
Yeah, I think there was both. I think as a teenager, again, I remember just really wanting to do well in school, like really, really, really wanting to do well, because I wanted people to be proud of me. But I would go in worried, if Hannah was unwell, I'd go in constantly worried, being like, is she going to be all right? Yeah. Do I need to be with her? Do I need to be with my family? How's my mum? A lot of worry and guilt goes to my parents. They didn't sign up for this life. And I feel like I should take some of that pressure off them, and always have done. Wherever I can help, I will do. Being a teenager is really hard. Like, it's so hard. And I think we don't give enough credit to teenagers about how hard life is. And you've got, especially nowadays, they're like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I didn't have a clue. I did not have a clue what I wanted to do when I grow up. And I think that comes with a lot of pressure, because then you're like thinking, well, university, I'm going to have to move out. And I don't want to leave. It's not a wanting to leave Hannah. It was wanting to leave my mum with Hannah. It was about having to, like, I knew I had a role in that house, and leaving was awful for me. But I think as a teenager, I think it was just a struggle to find your friendships, figure out what you wanted to do in life while studying. You know, as I'm at home studying, I'm thinking I should be helping Hannah. I should be doing something with Hannah. It was about balancing time. I feel like being a teenager is really hard anyway, but I know a lot of young carers have really bad attendance at school, or at least over here they do, because they have a job to do. And if their parents aren't well, they have to stay at home. Sometimes a school is the only way to get your frustration out. And luckily, I had teachers who understood me. So if I was angry for no reason one day, they'd understand why. But a lot of kids would get suspended, get expelled. Like it definitely needs to be talked about more and understand more about the person themselves.
It's interesting that you kind of touched on school there, because that's where I was kind of going to lead into next. Obviously, I did teach in the UK, it's like 9-10 years ago now. I can't believe I've been away that long. And it was something that, you know, as a teacher, you were made aware of. If there was a young carer in your class or on your register, you were made aware of that. And how you just mentioned then that if a teacher noticed that maybe something was off with you, or you were in a particularly bad mood, how was school supportive for you for that? Was it like a case of you had a certain teacher you could go and talk to, or did they give you, you know, extra time? What kind of strategies did they have in place, if you can remember?
I think the young carers in school thing was not really a big thing when I was there. Okay. So I was quite proactive in telling people, like, and I know a lot of people wasn't. So I'd have certain teachers that would know about my family life. And if I was having an off day, I'd just go and sit and have my lunch there and just kind of stay away from everyone. But now I think they workers go into school. They had see them in school. Like you say, you're made aware of a young carer in your class, which is good. I think they have school lunch supports. I remember getting help with, I've always been very unorganized and very scatty really with everything that I do. And I remember that bringing me down with my lessons, and I'd always get in trouble for talking, because talking is a way of like covering up how I would feel. Like I'd always go extra hyper rather than sad when I was feeling sad. I don't know whether anyone else does, but I know, just to cover it up for me. And I remember my teacher sitting down and be like, right, this is your timetable. This is when you're doing this homework for this lesson. This is when you're doing, and if you can't do it on that day, you come and see me, blah, blah, blah. So I did have a lot of support, but mainly because I opened my mouth and was like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
And that's quite a brave thing to do as a teenager, is to actually kind of admit that you need help, and that you're seeking that help. Because a lot of the time, I mean, again, I remember being a kid at school, you didn't really want to be the person that put your hand up and was like, I don't really get this, or can I have a bit more help with this? Or if you were staying behind after the lesson to get another explanation, it was almost like, no, it's break time. I want to go out there and be with my friends. Like, was that challenging? Did that, or was that just almost like, I know I need this?
It was challenging, but I had really good friends of like, they weren't mean friends. They were just friends who understood. And I knew that I really wanted to do well. So I knew that something had to give. And if that be me asking for a little bit of extra help, I would definitely encourage it. I think, so what's a break time once a week to be able to get your GCSEs and do what you want in life? I definitely encourage it. I don't remember school being, I just remember it being an escape for me, really, school. And I know for other young carers, it's a very different story. I know school's just another hardship on top of everything. But for me, it was just where I could be myself, because I went to a different high school to Hannah. So some people didn't know about Hannah because I didn't want to tell them about Hannah. You know, I was just Becky. In primary school, I was always Hannah's sister. And even now, hearing like, oh, this is Hannah's sister, until a couple of years ago would be a real big trigger for me, because I'd be like, I'm my own person, you know, she's my sister, but no one ever says it that way around. Yeah. But I think school was a great big escape for me, definitely.
Well, that's nice to hear, because like you said, I was reading the website earlier, and a lot of facts and figures on there about young carers and how they, like you said, can have time off school because they, like you said, they've got a job to do, and they need to be there to care for whoever it is at home. It's and as a teacher, that's quite sad to read, because like you've just said, school was escape for you. It was a positive place for you to be yourself. And that's, as a teacher, that's what I hope that any student I teach feels that way. Linking that kind of back, because I think this is kind of along the same route, is that you had school where you could escape and be Becky. You've also got Signposts. Like can you give us a bit more info, maybe, or a bit more detail on like how did that organization of Signposts help you to develop you as a person?
Yeah, I say all the time, and it probably sounds really dramatic, but Signpost is the main reason I am who I am today. Like, it definitely saved me from going down a different path. So, and mostly because of the love and the care that they give you. And I'm not saying like my mom and dad are the most loving and caring people. Like, I'm not saying that at all. Mm-hmm. It's just about time and I always felt second best, always. And that's no one's fault. It's just a situation. It's not Hannah's fault. It's not my parents' fault. It's just something that comes after speaking to a lot of young carers. It's just something that comes part and parcel with being a young carer, I think. Mm-hmm. And Signpost gave me my childhood back. Like, they were like, I don't know if you remember, but I remember everyone being kind of like adult kids. Everyone was just so old for their age. And I think but silly with it, because you never had your time. Like, when we'd go to Hebden Bridge, you'd run you wouldn't see a bunch of like old teenagers running around on a park, but we would, because you never did that, because you never got that. So I think giving you your childhood, they supported me through bad times. When I remember Becky taking me out, actually, and I'd had like, my dad just didn't get me. My dad didn't understand why I felt so annoyed all the time at the situation. And so, Signpost would take me out, be like, your feelings are valid. Let's talk about it. And just kind of give me that. And then I remember when I got into uni and we were really excited. And then within 5 minutes, I was really devastated that I was going. Like, I was just crying. And you were like, what's wrong? And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't go, because I'd really, really wanted to get in. And then as soon as I had got in, it was like a realization of you've got to leave your family. You've got to go. And then I remember just battling all myself, and Signpost worked through that with me and were like, look, you deserve this. You can do this. Your family will be fine. Let's go. So I think they were just a second family, really, of when you're unsure of yourself, they kind of give you hope.
I was going to, when you said that, then like a second family, I was going to say, you were describing it like it was an extended family. You had the people that supported you there and people that were backing you. So then university happens, you're accepted, and you obviously went off to uni and you enjoyed that whole experience and you excelled in that. I suppose I'm going to touch on the fact that you said about having that like guilt of leaving, and again, not because it was more your family that you were worried about and you had a role there. How did you? I mean, when you start uni, my goodness, there's so much going on. Like, you're moving into a new place, you're making new friends again, you're kind of almost starting all over again, and you're embarking on basically a degree that's probably going to shape the rest of your life. How did you navigate that with the kind of feelings you were having about, should I even go, because I don't want to leave my family?
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. I just remember in college them saying, now they didn't really, nowadays there's loads of other ways to get a job other than uni. I know there wasn't back then. They just was like, okay, you need to do your application form, what you're going to be. And I just remember thinking, well, I could either be a really good teacher or a good nurse. Like, that is the only two options I had in my mind. And my mum was like, nursing, go for it. Like, let's go. And if it wasn't for signposts and for my mum, who really pushed me into going to uni, like I didn't pack. I was refusing that anything was happening. My mum was packing around me. I just got shoved in a car and dropped off in Chester. Like that was it. But because my mum knew that it's not my job. It's not my job to look after my family. Mm-hmm. But I think the guilt kind of came away. I think Hannah kind of understood. The thing with Hannah is she like needs routine. So I couldn't come home as much as I wanted to because it would upset her every time I would leave. So I don't know. I don't really remember much. I mean, I do remember much about uni, but it kind of went so fast and different. And it was just, it's like I'd never left when I'd come home. But I think because I was away from home, the guilt kind of went away because I couldn't see what was going on at home, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, luckily I did have a supportive family. I know, again, some people could probably guilt you into being like, look, you need to be here. But my mum and dad have always said it's never my role to look after Hannah like they do, not as a parent. And I just remember going in and, enjoying it and probably using all my skills that I had to become a children's nurse. So,
well, that's where I was there when you said about going there, and you said it wasn't your job, but you clearly have something in you that wants to take care of people, that wants to look after people, and that's obviously, like you've just said, is evolved into you being a children's nurse, which like is unbelievable, because I can't imagine how hard emotionally it must be if, children in your care are sick and, you have to deal with all of that, and you're obviously trying to nurse them to health. But one of the, again, that I saw from the website, and I've seen from yourselves and when I've worked there, is actually the skills you gain as a young carer really can set you up for your adult life. As a children's nurse, like what does that look like for you? Like what does your job entail now?
So that's funny you should say about the skills going into work. So I wrote an article recently for the Signpost website of basically asking employers to realise that we may have not got the grades that everyone else did, but we have far more skills than, like I didn't get, I think, what did I get? Like a 2-2 at uni, which was far less than any of my friends, but I've never been asked about it once. I've never been at, you don't need it to be an employer, but I know my skills are truthfully probably 5 times better than anyone else, because I've been doing it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So as a children's nurse, I have just moved jobs. So as a children's nurse, I've worked on a ward for many years, just like an acute unit. So if they come in with anything, asthma, tonsillitis, that kind of thing. But I now, again, I've used my skills. I'm work at a respite centre for complex needs. I'm a manager there. So again, I've just gone back to what I know. And it's just something in me that wants to fight for people with disabilities, because I know what it's like. And I think I do that. I do that in my work and in my personal life. So I don't know.
I mean, it's so, it's just so inspirational. Like hearing you talk, like you're doing that the motivation you've got to fight, like you said, for people and to give them the rights they deserve, leads me really nicely into what you and your sister are actually doing now with your social media. You've got your own page, the Cheethams With Dreams. It's on Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah, we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we have 1.5 million followers on TikTok. Just saying. Thank you.
Well,
I know.
Those posts are addictive to watch.
They are scrolling.
Well, that leads, where I'm going now is you are both using your experiences, using those skill sets to raise awareness of it, but also, like we said in the intro, bringing that positivity into people's lives, because it is something that when I see you guys post, there's always something that puts a smile on your face, regardless of if whether it is something that's a little emotional, but the way you deliver it is motivational and positive. How did it come about? Was it something you and Hannah discussed? Was it an idea that popped up one day and you just went, yeah, let's do this? Or has it always kind of been there in your back, like, I want to start making this more of a forefront in people's minds?
So about 6 years ago, me and Hannah, we didn't have any of this social media stuff. I just had my own Facebook, and we went indoor skydiving, and I posted it, and the amount of comments was like, wow, inspirational. And I just thought, we do stuff like this every weekend. Like, this isn't us trying to inspire you. It's just us living our life. So we made, we called it a list of dreams, hence of Cheethams With Dreams, of stuff that we wanted to do, and made it into a Facebook page just so that our friends and family could kind of keep up with us. Mm-hmm. And then we just kind of posted stuff every now and then last year, during the first lockdown, everything shut down for Hannah. I obviously had to keep going to work, and everything shut down for Hannah. So I was like, what can I do to keep her mind busy, keep her going, keep her positive? So we downloaded TikTok, and it just went crazy. But we do it in a way. So like you say with our posts, we don't bang on about disabilities or differences. We just show our life as we're living it, but showing you that you can do it with a disability. So I see a lot of negative posts about like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Why? Why can't you do that? Why can't you change your path of, or maybe like Hannah really, really, really wants to go skydiving. Don't ask me, and you'll be going with the staff because I cannot do that. I'm like, oh no, it's not possible. And apparently it is possible. But so, there's a way. And if she couldn't do that, then okay, we'll go indoor skydiving. Like, there's always a different way to do something. But I resented Hannah at some point. Like, I really did. And I think I would never say it to her face because it's not her fault. But I moved out coming up to 2 years now, and we have the best relationship ever because I think I used all my patience up at work. I mean, like you say, being a children's nurse is not easy, and you got to stick a smile on, and you come home after the worst day, and then you've got Hannah who you've got to get dressed, ready for bed, who wants to speak to you, all night. And I was just so angry and lost all the time, and really upset. And then I moved out, and it was completely different, and we now have a different relationship. And I think Hannah loves to post. Hannah is always like, take a picture wherever we go. And I hope that we give families inspiration. We get a lot of messages of parents who are like, oh, my child's 3, they've got cerebral palsy, I was really upset about the future. I see you, and that's what our family's going to be like. And if that's what we can do for people, it's incredible. And I think like you say, positivity. There's no point worrying about stuff you can't change, because you can't change it. So you just got to look at it a different way. And I'm not saying we don't have bad days. We all have bad days. The last few days has been really bad for me, but I've got up today and thought, I can't change it. Let's just go out and smile and have a laugh, really.
That's a great attitude to have. And you mentioned it started out with a list of dreams. Are there still things on the list that you've got to achieve?
Yeah. You know me, I can't stick to a list. Like, my mind goes anywhere. So we have still got the list. We've done a lot of things on there. We've been to Florida. I wanted to take Hannah on holiday without my parents, so we went to Disneyland together. Hannah swam with dolphins. There's so many things. There's still things on there, but they're like little things that Hannah wanted to do, like ride a train with fancy tea. That can be at the bottom of the list. But we've had these crazy opportunities that have come to us since there. Like we was on a TikTok campaign that with our like faces all around billboards all around the UK, and we are so, so grateful for everything that's happening, and hopefully that can inspire people to get up and make a difference, and even just learn about disabilities, learn about young carers. I'm just talking basic knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like, just basic knowledge about young carers, about disabilities, about differences, and about loving each other. And I think the world will be a much nicer place.
Oh, wouldn't it just? Now, speaking of when you said raising awareness, I don't want to get my phone out because then I'll be distracted. But I do remember something on your social media about there was a trip to Alton Towers, the theme park in the UK, and not particularly a positive experience for Hannah at the time. But then what's come of that is actually been very positive. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think that's where most of our social media followings come from, actually, because it hit that big. So we went to Alton Towers and we've been many, many times before, so many times. And this particular day just went so bad, like really bad, like badly. Mm-hmm. Am I English? And it was, I carried Hannah onto a ride. They strapped Hannah in, came over to me and not Hannah, and said, "Can she walk?" And I said, "Well, obviously not. You've just seen me carry her into a ride." And they were like, "Well, she can't ride." And I said, "Excuse me?" And like, it was so embarrassing because everyone was locked in this ride. Hannah was looking at me. Mm-hmm. That was just one example of what happened. I had to get Hannah off the ride while she was crying her eyes out. They didn't really care. They didn't really know what to do with disabilities. Something's obviously changed in the last few years where people now or couldn't ride. Mm-hmm. They didn't speak to Hannah once. They just ignored that she was there, basically. It was just a really, really, really tough day. Mm-hmm. So I came away and I thought, they need some training on disabilities. Like, let's do it. So I wrote an open letter and posted it to Facebook, not slating them, just saying what had gone on, and said, can we help you? Like, I will happily come down with Hannah and teach you some basic training on how to speak to someone with disability. And it went viral, like it hit off. So, and people had so many similar experiences. So they rang us and we went down like the next week and had said everything, and they were really apologetic. It hit the news, like we were on Granada TV, but because we wanted to change it, like there's so many things that you can go and you can go, well, that was a rubbish day, I'm never going back there again. Yeah. But how can we change this to make this not happen for anyone else? So we've been working with them over the last 6 months. And now loads of things have changed. We went back the other week and Hannah can now ride most of the rides. Everyone spoke to Hannah. Well, they obviously knew who she was. Yeah. And they spoke to Hannah. If they had a safety concern, it was never about safety. It was just, if they had a safety concern, they can ask Hannah herself. And it was incredible. And we're continuing. I think Hannah's going to become an ambassador for them. So I think we're going to continue to work with Merlin itself and change other parks. And yeah, I think a really great thing's come out of it.
That's absolutely incredible. I didn't realize to that extent, that you've actually opened up like do you say 6-month relationship there of working with them to better them. And that says a lot about you and Hannah as people, that you've, like you said, so many people have poor experiences of places and just kind of walk away and go, right, well, I'll never go back. Whereas just like you said, by writing a letter that you didn't think or intend would create this is now actually been a learning experience for so many people, and that makes the park a better place. I mean, I love Alton Towers. Yeah,
it's a fantastic place, and I think just something had got lost, really. I think and whenever there was so many people like, well, I'm never going there again. Well, no, let's change it. It's an amazing place. It's got amazing rides. We've been back and it was incredible. Like, we had nothing bad to say about it, but props for them for listening and learning. They could have easily blocked all of our posts and never spoke to us again, but they actually rang and was like, how can we change for the better? And I think I think the world needs to listen to that, because everywhere you go, I admit when I'm wrong, you've got to learn to better yourself, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck in your way, and they would have lost so much custom and things like that. And I think we're really proud of that, actually. Yeah, really proud. And like you say, it was never about being upset with them. It was about getting them to listen and change, which they have done.
And I think that's a really important message there that you said about just kind of holding your hands up and saying, yeah, we've made a mistake, but we are willing to be better and we're willing to learn to rectify that. And that, that's something that I think every single person, every single day is doing. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to you're going to probably say something you didn't mean to. You're going to do something you shouldn't have done. And as long as you can say, right, sorry, help me with this. Like, what can I do to be a better person? Is going to, like you said, make the world a better place. There was also, if I remember rightly, again, I was going through your post before. There was an event, a run that Hannah wanted to be a part of, and it meant trying to find a specialist chair. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we may have fallen out of a few chairs before getting to the right place. So on the list was, I didn't realise what a marathon was and how long a marathon was. So on my list was like to run a marathon with Hannah. When realising how far a marathon was, I quickly changed it to a 10K, which we've done a few times. But you need a specialist chair. I mean, Hannah's chair that you run with, as soon as you get up to like 5 miles an hour, the wheels start shaking as if they're going to come off.
Right.
So we put a note out being like, can anyone direct us? Someone lent us a chair. We went running in the chair. It tipped up and Hannah fell out, and it was awful. Like, it was really awful. And again, Hannah could have said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. But she got up with a black eye and was like, no, I know, let's do it. Like, it's something I wanted to do. So we raised money to buy a running chair. So we've got a running chair now, which is like a 3-wheeler kind of thing. And we ran 10K. I've done it twice. I've done it. I don't know, who did I do it with the first time? Can't remember, but we've done it twice and it's fantastic. Both times without any training, by the way, just saying.
Natural athlete.
Yeah, I cut off my time by not going to the toilet the second time.
I mean, it's so lovely, like, hearing all the things that you and Hannah can do together, particularly because most people, like you said, would see the fact that Hannah is in a wheelchair, and that means there are things that she can't do. And obviously you said at the beginning, there were things that Hannah couldn't do. So as a family, you didn't do that. Yeah. Is there something for you personally now that you're wanting to achieve that's still on your own bucket list?
I find it really hard to think of myself. Like, whatever I'm thinking of comes with Hannah, and it's not because I feel guilty. I just know that she would love to do whatever I do, and if I don't do it with it, no one else will. But I think for myself, like, I really want to see the world. I've never been one to wanting to see the world. Like, I'm quite a homebody, but I think, like you say, this last year, we were talking about it. This last year has really kind of gone, we need to do what you want to do. Yeah. So I think I will probably go and see the world at some point. I want to do a road trip across America, but again, I want to do that with Hannah. Yeah. I haven't really got anything on my list that's mine, and I don't know whether
it's not a bad thing.
I don't know whether I would have been that type of person anyway. It's hard to know what you would be like if you wasn't a young carer. Yeah. I would like to know whether I would be more independent, whether I would have gone and done what you've done and lived in a different country. Maybe not. But I don't know. Personal list. Probably just to grow the social media. I mean, I've dropped my hours as a nurse to be able to do this and to be able to hopefully inspire people full time at some point. But I just continue to work hard and show people what life's about.
I like that. Did you ever think, like, because this obviously came from, like you said, you made a page on Facebook and it was a list of dreams, and then it has evolved into something huge. And, you said you're getting all these opportunities to meet people and speak with people and educate people. When you started the List with Dreams, did you ever imagine that this would happen to you?
No, I think you see social media and you see a lot of influencers, and they're probably not influencers I would call good role models. And they get all these opportunities, and it kind of makes you a bit jealous, like, where you're like, hang on a minute, they don't seem like particularly nice people, but they have the face for it, so they get it. So the fact that this is blown up for us, for two very, very normal people, is incredible. I was so lucky, and I don't go a day where I don't go, oh my God, we've got another 100 followers today. Like, and Hannah's very diva-like. She'll just be like, when we went to Cornwall, 2 people a day at least came up and was like, I know you from TikTok. And I was like, Hannah. Because she was like, yes, you do. Like, she is so cool as a cucumber. But I am so, so grateful. And no, never did I ever thought. It was just for friends and family, just to see what we were up to. And now it's making me want to do bigger and better. Like, I'm like, what can we do now? And, you know, at first my dad was like, you're never going on a zip line, Hannah. And now she's done 10 times worse. Like, I think it's incredible. I think, so lucky.
Has there been, because again, we all know the greatness of social media, but we also know, unfortunately, there are some negatives which can be dreadful. Yeah. And I'd hate to think that this has happened, but has there been any negative points of social media for you and Hannah?
All the time. We used to, so obviously Hannah doesn't read them, so she gets away with that. Hannah lives in a bubble anyway. Like, you know, Hannah, you say Hannah's got a way about it. Do you know when you're a child and you go, oh, you look really pretty today? And they're like, yes, I do. Rather than like, oh no, well, thank you. Hannah still has that. So I'll come in the morning and be like, oh, you look nice today. And she'll just go, and like walk off. Like, she won't, or roll off. She won't, she's just got this complete innocent about her, and she loves everyone, and I mean everyone. So I would never taint that for her. Like, I don't show it. If I can educate in some way, I will. So if someone says something and I know I can educate on it, I will touch on it. If not, I just block and delete, because me seeing people argue over that comment, it only brings it back to me. You know, I'm the only person that sees that. Yeah. So whereas I'll block, delete it, 5 minutes later, I forgot what they've commented, and they'll move on to someone else. But I know you've got to be a strong kind of person to do that. And I don't think if I'd have done this, if it had been this big 5 years ago, I think I would have been a completely different attitude to it. But I think if you can educate someone to be better, like we had a child, and I'm presuming it's a child, comment on one of our TikToks, something awful. So I replied to it as a video, and straight away this person was like, I'm so sorry, please delete the video. So I got chatting with them, and he was like, my friend thought it would be really funny. I just want to fit in. That's why I've done it. So I took that time to speak to this person, being like, look, you don't have to do this. You know, it's cool to be kind. You know, you don't have to fit in this way. And he was really apologetic, and that was it. So I think I would love to know why people leave hate comments, adults. I would love to know why. But I think you've just got to leave it and move on, because they're the people who's got the problem, not you. But you can't be on social media without hate, which is a really sad place, I think. But it's how you deal with it that you come up bigger and better.
Again, great comment there. And I like that. Just like you said, a lot of the time you're right. If you just blocked it, deleted it, moved on from it, you probably aren't going to remember that in, you know, the next day even. So like, that's probably the best way to deal with it. And especially with something so positive that, you know, you and Hannah are doing, I think it's really important that you can just keep that side away from it all.
I know, again, a lot of pages who constantly are like, oh, another hate comment, another this, another that. But it brings you down. It brings your page down. It brings the positivity down. And where if you can just block and delete and move on, you're gonna more likely feel a bit happier in yourself to give out, you know, what's the best. But hopefully people will learn. And this is why we really want to get learning about disabilities in school, because I think hate comes from the unknown. I think ignorance comes from the unknown, and education is key to a lot of love and acceptance in life.
Couldn't have said that better myself. And I think, you know, as a teacher, in particular, I think we're trying to slowly get this understanding of that, although, yes, don't get me wrong, in certain years of school, we do have to teach to help students pass an exam. but we're also there trying to educate them about life. And especially, I think now going through things like this COVID pandemic, for most of us that, like we were saying before, we never thought in a million years that we would sit through a pandemic or be the people talking about, remember when we thought like the world was pretty much coming to an end. Whereas like now we can actually use it as an opportunity to educate the young about more things in life rather than just passing.
I don't remember how to use algebra. Algebra is needed, kids, but I don't remember, you don't need it. But if every teacher could just be like you, like the year that we were together at Signpost made and I tell you all the time, it made the biggest difference. You were there for the most important time in my life. And I genuinely wouldn't be where I am without you, without the others. So if you can make that difference to at least one kid a year in your years now, know you're doing a fantastic job, because hopefully everyone will grow up to be a more loving and understanding person. So what if they don't get the best grades? It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you for that. But I agree. Like you said before, you sat there and you said about you got a 2-2 in your degree. I did too. And look where, life can take you in terms of, and I couldn't agree with you more about what you said about like life skills and the skills you've developed, like even by, what you're doing with Hannah and what you're doing through social media and educating these other people. If you haven't had the experiences that you have had, it's not molded you into the person you are and the way you're trying to help others. So I think we're not trying to talk about how actually being a young carer could potentially be negative. Yes, in some situations it might have negative situations for some people, but on the whole, react to it.
It's how you react to anything. Everyone has some curveballs thrown at them. Do you know what I mean? Everyone has, and that would just happen to be mine. I've had a few more in life, but it's how you react to it that makes you the person you are. And I think I probably have made young carers sound quite negative today, but that's just because it's the truth about it. But I think the positive is what Hannah has given to me, which is a love and understanding that I've never felt before. Like understanding someone's basic human needs is just a magical thing for me. And I think I would never change my life for the world.
Well, I think that right there is a perfect way to end this, because that's such a positive message. And I don't think that you've made anything sound negative today. I think you've just been really informative and you've been really honest. And I think for a lot of people listening to this who may not have any idea about what a young carer is or what that actually entails, now hopefully has a little bit of insight and maybe can be a little bit more considerate if they do encounter somebody that is a young carer, and maybe just be a little bit more considerate in fact what they have to go through every day. It might not be, like you said, it might not be as challenging as what you experienced. It might be more. They might have more demands on them. But I think just appreciating that, I'm talking more of like a school sense, a job sense. But if that person shows up every single day and they're trying their best with what's going on, personally,
I think that's important to reiterate to the children as well. If you're a young carer, you're doing your best. No one can ask any more of you, but don't be afraid to go to that one teacher and just tell them if you are struggling. I think even saying it reduces your like worry by half. Like, I think it's definitely like it's okay to accept that you're a young carer.
Well, thank you very much, Becky, for joining me today. I have really enjoyed our conversation, and also kind of revisiting some of the past things we got to do and the things that you and Hannah are looking forward to do in the future. And just a reminder to anyone listening, if you do want to follow Becky and Hannah's adventures, you can find them on Instagram and you can find them on Facebook at Cheethams With Dreams. We'll put that in the show notes. So if anyone wants to check that out, they can have a look at your page and increase those followers because it's going through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I will speak to you soon.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Knattering with the Knights. If you want to make sure that you don't miss any future episodes, then please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please reach out to your PE teacher if you have any feedback or ideas about topics you would like to see and hear about in the future. In the meantime, have a great week and we will see you next time.